Linda McMahon, nope. Linda McMahon, wife, and Jesus Christ. Francis, what do Linda McMahon and Bobby Valentine have in common?
They both had an affiliation with sports, regardless of whether you believe WWE is a sport or not. And now they could be, or one of them definitely is, but another soon to follow, be taking up positions in office, in politics, in amidst the swamp that when Donald Trump says he was going to drain the swamp, he actually mean I'm going to drain it and then put sports persons back in there. So he's expect to be plenty of positions.
Mostly has a lot to do with donors. Linda McMahon, who's the wife of Vince McMahon, also known as the founder of the billionaire strut, which we know, but Conor McGregor made it a lot more famous, which I think a lot of people know. Who was appointed to the head of the small business, or she's in charge of the Small Business Administration, which is ironic, just given the fact that the WWE is the polar opposite of a small business. And Bobby Valentine, who's the ex-manager of the New York Mets, once who got ejected or was suspended for a few games, even snuck back into the Mets dugout with a mustache and a goatee disguise, a very bad one, which was hilarious, is likely or is rumored to be appointed to be the U.S. ambassador to Japan.
Yeah.
I have a couple quotes. We'll get into some more detail of it, but it's pretty remarkable, the crossover. Former Red Sox manager and Mets manager has known both Trump and his brother Bob since the early 1980s. He's also very close to Anthony Scaramucci, who was part of the Presidential Transition Team Executive Committee, and it was New Jersey Governor Chris Christie who, according to a source, first surfaced Valentine's name for the position. I thought Chris Christie was a Yankee fan. Next, the connections don't stop there. Valentine is still very popular in Japan, having managed the Chiba Lotte Marines for 7 seasons, becoming the first U.S.-born manager to win the Japan Series with championship in 2005. It's so unrelated to politics. Well, he's got good relations in Japan. Yeah. Well, because he led a Japanese team to the Japan Series, so let's have him be an ambassador. That is literally like saying Kobe's famous in China. Let's make him the U.S. ambassador to China.
The only thing that goes in his favor is I think he speaks Japanese.
Well, of course that goes in his favor, but Francis, you have to speak Japanese to be the U.S. ambassador to Japan.
I know. I'm just trying
to... It's like it's got to be on the job description. Like, bullet point. Do you speak Japanese?
Well, come on.
Bullet point. Have you won the Japan Series?
We can't sit here and put down logistics as a means to rule someone out, considering who we have as president. The only rule that stops someone from being president in the United States is you got to be an American citizen and you got to be old enough. That's it. This is why I say that this presidential election should be taken to every kid out there who thinks they're underqualified. Fuck it. I'm going for it. CEO of the Young Turks, I'll audition. I'll audition for it and see what happens. This is not surprising, right? So again, when it comes to politics and crossing over, I try to play as much of a devil's advocate as I can, because I think that what we do is we just tear apart every single thing that Trump's going to do. Say a tweet, 3 a.m. tweets, oh my God, he should have been in bed. Who cares?
You literally are playing the advocate to the devil.
Yes, that's why my title is actually doubly as funny. So I don't want to condemn the acts in every single way, or the fact that he's in a Twitter feud with Alec Baldwin. I couldn't give two shits. But when this is something that you can look into and you can put under the microscope and you can start to think is, whether you're a fan of sports or politics, it is somewhat unusual that these things are crossing over. But what is the ties, Jason?
It's not that unusual for Linda McMahon's case. This is actually from Emma Vigeland, who's over on TYT Politics. Linda McMahon served as the CEO of the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, from 1997 to 2009 until she stepped down to run unsuccessfully on the Republican ticket for a Connecticut U.S. Senate seat in 2010 and in 2012. Both those campaigns were largely self-funded, costing McMahon and Vince an estimated $100 million. Notably, McMahon is also a major Republican and Trump donor, and this is where it ties into her becoming the head of the Small Business Administration. She and her husband round out the top 20 of the most amount of money given to federal races by individual contributors, to the tune of nearly $9.8 million. All to Republican candidates. Linda McMahon donated $6 million to Donald Trump campaign in August and September. So her appointment as Small Business Administrator seems to be a reward for generosity.
Well, it's like she's clearly got the experience of small businesses. She ran the WWE, and then she donated to Trump, or as we know, Trump Corporation, by donating straight to it. So that's one small business to another. She clearly understands what it takes to build a small business from the ground up. There's many criticisms you can direct towards Donald Trump, and his one that came under a lot of scrutiny recently is the drain the swamp, where he wants to get rid of the establishment politicians, establishment officials that are in their own pockets.
Yeah.
And draining them means draining them of all the ones that potentially were not for him, and then gets them back in the ones that have been consistently contributing to his campaign one way or another. So you're not draining the swamp, you're just replacing it with other swamp monsters that are more familiar to you.
Radiated swamp monsters.
Yes, ones that have been a little bit more seasoned in things that he would like rather than anything else. But this is what's going to be a trait. Last thing on the politics side. When it comes to anything that Donald Trump's doing in his presidency, it's going to tie back to his relations. This is what he built his whole foundation on. Is that the Chinese are up to no good. I did business with a guy down the street who is Chinese. They're all like that. So anyone who has ties to him, business or other, sports or other, who's been friendly to him, there is a good chance that they could be in high up political positions. He wanted security clearance for his full family. So it's going to come down to his personal relations with people, how far ahead they move in his world, and negotiations with other people are going to rely on his business negotiations with them.
Right. It's the irony is truly remarkable, and I'm going to leave a lot of myself out of that conversation. I think you make sound points, and I think anybody who watches TYT Sports and anybody in the YouTube comment section who comments on TYT Sports understands my positions on a lot of different things. I don't feel the need to necessarily share them. If you're that interested, comment below, and I'll try to get into some kind of friendly conversation. But with most YouTube comment sections, it goes from friendly to argumentative, which is good, and maybe debate, and then racist. Like
the 4 stages of YouTube conversation.
It is the 4 stages. By like the 20th comment, he's a Jew. What does that
Sound.
have to do with the topic?
Sold.
What? All right. So to wrap everything up on that one, Bobby Valentine is not a qualified political anything when it comes to being appointed to the U.S. ambassador to Japan. Because you have familiarity with Japan does not make you qualified. Since you led a team to a Japan series on the baseball level, there's a rule that has pretty much gone around. It's like an unwritten rule in a way where they tell you at a young age, or at least I was told and what I learned through school and a lot of different things, is you don't appoint your friends to high-powered position if they're simply just not qualified. And it can get dangerous because the personal and the business level will intersect at many points in your life, but they necessarily don't have to if there's people who are just more qualified for the job. So something I learned a long time ago is, at least in college, definitely, don't pick your best friends as your political anything.
But yeah, this is the consequence of a president's. This is the consequence of a presidential campaign that has been built on. If you're good at one thing, then you can be good at the other thing. So if you're good enough to deliver a championship to a Japanese team, you can be a great ambassador to the US when it comes to political relations. Hence, if you're good at business, you'll be good at running the country. That's the way things
Bobby
go.
Valentine couldn't win the Mets a World Series, the Red Sox a World Series. Bobby Valentine should not be the U.S. ambassador to Japan. That's where I'm going with it. Regardless, the one thing I did want to point out, right before we go, how is Shane Show Me the Money McMahon not being appointed to the Federal Reserve?
And every time he walks into office or into a meeting, this is how he's
C-SPAN is about to become the most interesting TV show in the history of TV. Shane, it's Shane! He's gonna jump off the ceiling and then RKO somebody, or Shane McMahon's the one that went from the top of the. He used to jump from like Hell in a Cell. He'd be like 40 feet. No, but he didn't have like a purpose outside of jumping.
He was just trying to get away from Vince.
Yeah, that's probably true. All right, comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you next time.